Lisa here, who just ended up breaking into medical device sales in, I think, a relatively short amount of time. So I just wanted to do a little Q&A to give some people a little bit of, updates on hers, just kind of see like, what the process was like, what it was like going through it, and, just some other questions like along the way. So, without further ado, just like introduce yourself, give yourself a little like background and what you were doing beforehand, like before all this started. So yeah, the floor is yours.
For sure. Well, yeah, like Matt said, I just landed my first medical device sales position, just signed the offer today. So, really wonderful news. I would not be here without Matt, truly. And so, if you're here, keep watching. So yeah, my name is Alyssa. I'm from the Midwest. I live in Wisconsin. I was doing medical research for the last 2.5 years, doing surgical clinical trial research. I was really considering doing further education, an MD in particular, and decided about 6 months ago that that was not the route I wanted to take, and that I was really just interested in developing my career. And did a lot of research and considering what path I wanted to take and kind of set my mind on medical device sales and started watching some YouTube videos of Matt and reached out to him for mentorship. And so that's how our journey started together.
So well, first off, I definitely appreciate that a ton. But what would you say got you into wanting to do medical device sales beforehand?
Great question. I was asked this a lot during the interview process, so definitely something that's good to have prepared. So for me in particular, I was doing medical research and then I got a second part-time job as a nursing assistant at the VA hospital. And this was the first time really getting patient exposure, but also getting medical device exposure. And so uh, during that time, I got a job as a telemetrist, which was learning this very comprehensive telemetry system. There was a software, and then the software connects to these devices that then a 5 lead gets set up on the patient, and it provides 24-hour monitoring of pulse ox and EKG systems. So um, I ended up falling in love with this technology. It was the first time I really got to see medical device in the real world. I witnessed it saving lives. It was an incredible tool. I got to use it to communicate to cardiologists, to communicate to nurses, identify really problematic heart rhythms. And so I guess that was one thing that really stood out to me. Whenever I decided I didn't want to go into medical school, I reflected, and in the last few years, I really enjoyed my research. I did enjoy somewhat of the patient exposure, but the working on the telemetry system really stood out to me. And the idea to get to work with the company to bring those types of devices to hospitals, to practitioners, that really excited me. And so I would say that's where I first started thinking about medical device sales, really is from that telemetry experience. And then, honestly, just relying on Reddit and YouTube to learn more about what a day in the life of a med device sales rep looks like. I really was intrigued by the independence, autonomy of the roles, that I could still be in the hospital settings, um, and, playing a vital role in healthcare.
So did anything surprise you as far as the interview processes go? Like anything from like beginning to late stage?
Hmm. Um, hmm. Yeah, I would say one thing that surprised me is that although I did have this clinical experience, which I really used to, transition into this role and highlight my experiences and how it would translate into this role, the med device companies I were interviewing for were still really heavy on, well, why sales? You can still be in healthcare and keep doing research, or you could have a role with us where you're the specialist, where you're teaching and educating on our devices, but you're not the one that's in charge of selling the devices. And so that was one thing I was pretty surprised about, is just a lot of pushback on why sales, and really having to have a strong message for that question.
So, okay, so that's good. Now, do you think that the whole process in general took quicker or longer than you would have thought? And I'm talking about the interview process in itself, like how many interviews you went through. Was it
Yeah.
more or less?
Yeah, I ended up only going through two um standardized interview processes with two companies. Um, one company was pretty quick. It was a two interview, and then I had gotten they mentioned there'd be a third round interview, and then I would hear back, and then I ended up not moving forward to that third round interview. So that was a very quick process. And then the position that I did land offer with and accepted was completely the opposite. It was a very, very thorough interview process, and Matt was a big part of that. And so they had, they really did vet out me as a candidate and the other ones that they're interviewing. And so, and to put in context, I literally think it ended up being 11 total interviews. And 2 months later, probably. And so I just say that to say I think it just depends on the company. This is a smaller company compared to maybe a larger company that has maybe more defined roles and aren't really needing to like really rely on someone. I'm not sure if that makes sense.
No, 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 that's perfect.
Yeah.
All right, so what is the most part that you're the most excited for overall? Is it, living where you're living? Is it the company itself, or just, let me know.
Yeah, I am most excited for the company. Honestly, I just feel really blessed. I got hired on with a smaller company, and so I actually think that is maybe a strategy someone could take. We have the larger med device companies. I definitely think there's a place for that. But in particular with the smaller company, I think there's total 84 employees, and so I'm really going to be seen in the role and get to know people in different uh, leadership positions, in marketing, in accounting, even in the research. And I think that that's going to give just a really supportive environment. I'm going to be able to really see the ins and outs of a medical device company.
Hmm.
And I've had a lot of discussion how there's going to be a lot of training provided, both sales training and training on selling their device. And everyone that I've met that would be the ones training me have been, really fun to meet, really great, supportive. And so I'm just really excited to learn. It's a whole new ballpark for me. And so I think I'm going to learn a lot, take in skills that are going to translate into the real world. And I'm confident that the people I'm working with are going to be really fun and good people. And I also see a lot of career potential for me individually in this company. Kind of going back to that smaller med device company versus larger, there's a pretty clear path. They only want to hire leadership management positions within. And so right off the bat, I know that's what I want and what I can be working towards. And that's really exciting too.
Awesome, awesome. Yeah. And that is a good thing too, starting out with one of those companies, because
Mhm.
especially if you do something like that and they do hire within all the time, then if it
Mhm.
is like a good fit for you, you can just keep going up the chain and eventually, you'll get there sometime,
Mhm.
especially if they
Yeah.
only hire from within. It's only a matter of
Yeah.
time before, the time would be yours. What would you say would be the most helpful advice to others that are seeking a medical device role? So like it's a similar situation. They've never had any kind of medical device outlook before. They're like just starting to apply to jobs. What would you say would be the most helpful thing?
First, work with Matt. Plug.
That's funny.
Um, no, I
Appreciate
mean,
it.
I do mean that he was really, really helpful, and set me accountability and a clear path to getting to where I wanted to be. Aside from that, just be a sponge, as silly as that may seem, there's so much to learn, especially yeah, if you don't have any med device sales experience, which I still am that person, I still have a lot to learn. But utilizing LinkedIn to connect with others, utilizing Google, Reddit communities to just learn as much as you can. If you know anyone asking to jump on a call, asking about their jobs. I think one thing, back to your initial question, what surprised me the most is every med device company and every role can look so different. You know, you can be in the OR, you cannot be in the OR, you can be in the ER and the ICU. There's just so much to learn. And so, yeah, my advice would just be to take in as much information, especially in the earliest stages, because then the more that you understand about medical device sales, once you go into the interviews, you're going to have good questions to ask. You know, you can kind of put yourself in their position of whoever's interviewing you to really try to understand their product and their company. So,
100%. And okay, so what would you say is probably the best piece of coaching advice that you would say? So like just overall in like the time, is there anything that like specific you're like, okay, well, that makes sense.
hmm coaching advice that I got from you, or just
Yep.
like something, okay. Well, I don't want to share the secrets.
Well,
Um, um, I mean, your game plan for networking, honestly, I would not have this position and I've gone so far. And so, you know, that was probably the best coaching advice because I learned so much just by putting myself out there, jumping on phone calls with others in the field. A lot of job opportunities opened up that weren't, I wouldn't have found elsewhere. It also got me talking med device sales with other people in the field. So I think that also grew my confidence, and prepared me for interviews. And so, yeah, I would say your coaching advice of starting to network with others in the field, that was honestly a key part of this journey.
yeah, that's one of the biggest things too, especially coming in because if people have no experience, it's almost like experience is almost like a leverage tool because then you
Mhm.
can utilize that with other people coming in to,
Absolutely.
make yourself more
Mhm.
marketable. But if you
Mhm.
don't really have that leverage, you got to find it some
Mhm.
ways. And I feel like
Mhm.
finding that through multiple avenues of people wanting to help you is the
Mhm.
probably the best way to go about it.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, no, I mean that's good. I mean that's all I got for you pretty much. I mean the last thing is just going to be, would you recommend medical device sales? Just like the potential of it, just kind of like how cool the interview process is now that you've been out to California and seen a couple
Mhm.
things like, facilities and everything. Is it something that you'd recommend for people that are on the fence, wanting to pursue another career to do it?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I feel it's very rewarding. I think the field is in demand and there is a high level of professionalism and, you know, looking for good candidates. And so to go through it, to put yourself in that position and then to land a job has honestly just been so rewarding. And then knowing the outlook of med device sales, you know, like I said, the career potential, that is also extremely exciting. And if you're someone that is a go-getter and likes to have something they're working towards goals. I think it's a very, so far, even just the interview process was very fulfilling because I had to really be my best version of myself and learn a lot. And so, yeah, so far, absolutely. If you're considering it, I would say just start pursuing it. And I think you'll, even before I got the job, I'm like already see a lot of reward and um, fulfillment in it.
That's good. All right, that's awesome. So yeah, best of luck for starting
Thank
out,
you.
your new job here pretty quick. So best of luck to that. And I think people will definitely get a lot out of, seeing this interview. So,
Absolutely.
all right, cool. Thanks again.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you.